I want to thank you guys for being here. Here we go. This being the first one on 2025, we got some new members on here. I'm excited about it. We got a great team. We got a lot of great people out in the audience that helps all of us, so it takes a team to do good work here. So first of all, I'd like to ask, are there any members on WebEx at this point? Okay, thank you. So the way I'd like to start off is we'll go around the table here and kind of introduce all the senators. And you might tell a little bit about background or so they can get a feel. You can tell what district they get lost, but let's give you, that way they'll know how to work you, Senator Thompson. You know how that works.
You want me to start, Mr. Chair? Okay, that sounds good. Mike Thompson, Senate District 10. That's Shawnee, Lenexa, or North and West Lenexa, a little bit of Olathe, a little bit of Lake Quivira. I've been on this committee now for, this will be my sixth session. Fifth session on utilities, so happy to be back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Virgil Peck, Senate District 15, which is on the Kansas-Oklahoma state line. I have 15 rural counties: Lebec County, Neosho County, Montgomery County, which is my home county, Elk County, Chautauqua County. And this is my 17th session. And in all those sessions, Mr. Chairman, I have never had the privilege of serving on the Utilities Committee, which I'm really looking forward to the opportunity. I had been told by my office mate that the chairman of this committee was the smartest guy in the Kansas Senate. And so I'm looking forward to see if my office mate knows what he's talking about, but we'll find out.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Craig Bowser, Senate District number 1, that encompasses Northeast Kansas, Atchison, Doniphan, Jackson, Brown, Nemaha County, parts of Marshall County, northern Jefferson County, and the kind of northwest Leavenworth County. Thank you. Pleasure to be on the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, everyone. Kelly Warren, honored to represent Senate District 11, which is southeastern Johnson County. The state line with our neighbor to the east is my eastern border. This is my 7th legislative session, so my 2nd term in the Senate, and I have always been honored to serve on the Utilities Committee, so always learning something new each session as well. So honored to be here. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Mike Peterson, honored to represent the 28th District, part of Derby, Oaklawn, South Wichita. Retired industrial electrician and served on this committee. This is my 21st session. I'm still learning.
So my name's Mike Fagg. I represent District 14, which is the northern half of Butler. And it goes Greenwood, Chase, Marion, and McPherson to kind of give you a feel. Kind of wraps around the northeast side of Wichita. I was in banking for 47 years, so this is kind of an old dog with a new bone. But I've worked hard the last 3 or 4 years, hitting a lot of international stuff to really try to get a feel of how complex this is. And so that's kind of my story, and I enjoy this very much, and you learn something new every day.
I'm Senator Marcy Francisco, representing the 2nd District. Honored to do that. It is now almost all within the city limits of Lawrence, except for 2 parts of townships. I'm also honored to have served on this committee for 21 years with Senator Peterson. So we've both been learning over those years. I'm pleased to drive an electric car and ride a non-electric bicycle. So always interested in energy efficiency and pleased to be back on this committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Bill Clifford, I'm formerly of the House of Representatives, District 122. I now represent Senate District 39 in the energy-rich section of the state, southwest Kansas. I have 11 counties. I was not on utilities in the House, but I did do an NACL tour to Germany this summer, an energy tour, and we certainly can talk about that. One trivial thing to note about me, a bit of trivia, my father and Chairman Delperdang both retired from the same company. However, my dad did not have a PhD. So I have 6 children, went with my wife 42 years, and most of you already heard that I consider her to have 7 children.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Elaine Bauer, Senate District 36, 14 counties and Northwest, North Central, and even some in Northeast, sharing Marshall County with Senator Bowser. I've been on this committee since 2012 when I came to the Senate, and we're very windy where I come from.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Joe Clays, not to be confused with my brother J.R. Clays. If it helps, I'm the taller, smarter, better looking of the two brothers. I'm in the Senate District 27, which is Northwest Wichita and Mays, and I also drive an electric car, and I love it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Senator Cindy Holscher, Senate District 8, Overland Park area, the heart of Overland Park. Most of that entire area is mine. My apologies for the delay in getting in here. There were some visitors outside the door asking what committee was meeting, and I told them, and they took a look in and they went the other way. So I don't know what that means. I told them it was going to be good, but so anyway, happy to be here.
Thank you all. So next thing, I'm going to do something a little different. What I'd like to do is to go around the room because there's a lot of people here, and we got new committee members. You're half of what goes on with this, and we appreciate the effort and stuff that you all put into this. So I'd kind of like to have you stand up and give your name and kind of who you represent. And if you want to say anything else, you got 15 seconds. So we'll start over here. Paul, with you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. My name is Paul Snyder. I've been around the building for quite a while as well. Represent primarily large energy users under Kansans for Lower Electric Rates. I also represent the Natural Resources Defense Council and Storm Fisher Hydrogen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. John Federico, Stephen Durst, my partner in our firm, and he too is the better-looking, smarter person. He keeps reminding me. Just as quick as I can, I apologize, but on the telecom side, you'll find us working with you as we have over the years for Cable One, Comcast, Cox Communication, Mediacom, and Midco. And telecom related, we represent Garmin, Microsoft, the KC Tech Council, and a data analytics firm called SAS. On the energy side, we represent LS Power, Southbow, and Symmetry Energy Solutions. We do represent another company that has an exciting project out in western Kansas that we look forward to talking to you about, but we're not there yet. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon. I'm Greg Dumars. I'm with Kansas Municipal Utilities. Prior to that, I was in city management for 25 plus years with a community that had the full gamut of utilities from electric, water, wastewater. We did not have natural gas. As KMU represents municipal utilities across electric, water, wastewater, and natural gas, and our members are in size from as small as 50 meters up to 50,000 meters.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I appreciate the opportunity to be here before you today. My name is Kimberly Genscher-Swati, and as Mr. Dumars said, I've proudly represented Kansas Municipal Utilities for 19 legislative sessions. This is my 25th legislative session, my 21st dedicated to Kansas. And as Greg said, we do represent all of the community-owned electric, natural gas, water, and wastewater utilities in the state. The smallest of the small communities to some of the largest, including the city of Wichita and Kansas City, Kansas. If your constituents ever have any questions or any needs, feel free to reach out and we'll work our very hardest to get everything resolved. I also wear another hat. I represent the entire clean energy industry in the state of Kansas, which includes wind, solar, energy storage solutions, hydrogen. We do some transmission work as well. And so we'll hear a little bit about that more tomorrow, but I'm more than happy to, again, answer any questions, and it is a pleasure to be here every day before you all. Thanks.
Thank you. I want to know how you're going to follow that, Josh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am Joshua Swati. I also work with Gincher Swati Public Affairs. My duties include carrying things, and then I have a special expertise in delivering things to your office. But it is a pleasure to get to work with my wife on a wide range of issues. And it's also kind of fun and a little strange. There's very few of you left that actually served when I was in the legislature, but it's good to see there's still some people around that I had the pleasure of serving with back in the day, but it's good to be in front of the committee.
Thank you.
Alan Kloss Anderson, and I'll just say Josh is smart enough not to say he is the most smart and handsome one of the 202, so that tells you one thing. So I'm with the Polsonelli Law Firm out of our Kansas City office. I'm the chair of the Energy Practice Group. I'm also a professor at the University of Kansas School of Law. So at Polsonelli, we represent everything from large industrial users, some of the biggest in the state, data centers. You'll see us here sometimes talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and whatever that may be. We also work with a lot of energy companies, including renewable developers and other things. So you'll see a wide range of that, and then sometimes it's on energy issues where the professorial hat may be helpful to kind of look at bills and how they may impact the grid and other things.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee. Shahira Stafford. I'm a contract lobbyist, and one of my clients is NextEra Energy, so that's who I'll be representing in this committee. We are a large developer of wind and solar and storage in the state. Our first wind farm went in about over 2 decades ago in western Kansas, so we're proud to be in Kansas and happy to be here.
Thank you.
Lynn Retz, Kansas Corporation Commission.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee. My name is Paul Owings. I'm the chief engineer at the Kansas Corporation Commission. I work on utility operations and pipeline safety side of the regulatory.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee. I'm Jeff McClanahan. I'm the director of the Utilities Division for the Kansas Corporation Commission. I've been with the commission about 27 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee. Good to see you again, Chairman. My name is Justin Grady, and I'm the Deputy Director of the Utilities Division at the Kansas Corporation Commission. I know many of you, but for those of you that I don't know, I'm looking forward to this session and getting used to knowing you. I hurt my back this weekend helping my 13-year-old load a deer into the back of my truck. I walk a lot better once I've limbered up a little bit, but once I sit down, it's kind of a struggle. So anyway, good to see everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to be here.
We can all relate to that. So.
Good afternoon, committee. Jessica Lucas with Watkins Public Strategies. Among our clients, those we expect to interface with all of you in this committee include the American Heart Association, the Clean Energy Business Council, Ideatech, which is a broadband company, as well as Cuyahoga.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Reagan McLeod, I'm the Director of Government Relations for Kansas Electric Cooperatives. We serve 29 member electric cooperatives serving the state of Kansas in some capacity. So welcome to everybody that's new and appreciate being here.
Thank you, Reagan.
Hello, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Joseph Astrab, and I'm the new Consumer Counsel for the Citizens Utility Ratepayer Board, or CURB. We're a government agency here tasked with representing the interest of all residential and small commercial ratepayers. I've been with CURB since 2019 as an attorney, and I've just moved into this position over the last week or so with David Nichols' retirement. You may know him and seen him, and may have seen my face in the crowd sitting behind him occasionally. So I'm looking forward to being at your service and answering any questions and providing any input that I can, and I'm looking forward to doing some great work with everyone this year. Thank you.
Thank you. That's why we're doing this, because that's a new face to me. Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee. Patrick Feeney. I represent Braden Heidner Lowe. Our clients are Atmos, T-Mobile, and Williams. So please, if there's any questions you have, don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you.
Patrick Orr with the Citizens Utility Ratepayer Board.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Eric Sexton. I'm going to save you 3 introductions with one. My name is Eric Sexton. I'm a government affairs consultant for Holston Seifkin Law Firm. I have my new colleague, Sue Peterson, and one of our clients, Brian Metters from Excel Services, a nuclear energy company, nuclear energy developer. And then we also represent Riva Energy, which is formerly Duke Renewable. lit up in 2012. Glad to be here, and we're here to be a resource to you as you go forward and make your decisions. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Eric.
Good morning. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Patrick Vogelsberg with Kansas Gas Service. We're a natural gas utility in the state. We have a little more than 647,000 customers across 360 communities, generally in the eastern two-thirds of the state.
Thank you, Patrick.
Good afternoon, Michael Gillespie with One Oak, and I'm glad Patrick started that. One Oak used to own Kansas Gas Service 2014 and spun it off. One Oak is no longer a utility and hasn't been for a decade. But we have natural gas and natural gas liquids pipes along with refined products and crude oil pipelines. So we move gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel as part of the Magellan acquisition in 2013 with over 50,000 miles of pipe across the country. And we are no longer a utility as of 2014.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. My name is Kent Eccles with TC Energy. This is my 19th legislative session. We are a North American energy company that sells natural gas or transports natural gas through our pipelines. We move about a third of North America's natural gas, and we're in 40 states. We're headquartered in Alberta, Canada, and our U.S. headquarters in Houston, Texas. So here to be a resource as you need. Thank you.
Hi, Gavin Kreidler, represent several different folks in the energy space, American fuel and petrochemical manufacturers, which are all the oil refineries in the state of Kansas. I work with my good-looking cohort, Tall Paul, on Kansans for lower electric rates, Koch Industries, and some other rats and cats we'll talk to you about. So thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
I'm Billy Tolbert. I'm an intern for Walk-in Public Strategy, and I'm a senior
Schwartz with Propane Marketers Association of Kansas. We represent propane distributors and resellers across the state.
Mike Murray, this is my 30th legislative session. My clients of interest in this committee, NextEra Energy Resources, they're the world's largest builder of wind and solar. NextEra Energy Transmission, which is a large builder of transmission. And then a company called Brightspeed, which you may or not have heard of. But Brightspeed started out in its early years as Sprint, and then became Embark, and then became CenturyLink, and now it's Brightspeed. They are an internet or a broadband service provider. We have about 120 local exchanges in Kansas. And so I'm privileged to work with Shahira Stafford on behalf of NextEra.
Thank you, Mike.
Good afternoon, Karen Brownlee. I work with NextEra Energy with Mike and Shahira. I used to be on your side for about 10 years, so thank you for the hard work that you put in on this topic.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jackie Garagiola. I represent the Kansas Livestock Association as the Associate Counsel and Lobbyist, and that represents roughly 5,700 cattle producers across the state of Kansas.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee. I'm Claudia Hassong with Kansas Farm Bureau. We represent 30,000 farmer ranch families through our 105 county farm bureaus. So every county that you represent has a county farm bureau. Myself, our contract lobbyist, Divine Donnelly Murray, and Wendy Grady, director of our legal counsel, will be here throughout the session to serve as a resource for you as you think about how landowners play into the utility process. So appreciate the opportunity to be here and look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Afternoon, committee. I'm Josh Conklin with Federal Voters.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Steve Cowan, Black Hills Energy.
Thank you.
Afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Joseph Lay, and I am the interim director of the Office of Broadband Development, housed within the Kansas Department of Commerce. and my office currently oversees the deployment and the administration of state and federal grants across Kansas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Blaine Finch. I'm a contract lobbyist, new client, Kansas Chamber, just came on board. We're happy to have them. So I work with ITC, a transmission company. I work with KEC, the Kansas Electric Co-ops, and with Charter Communications. It works the Spectrum Home Internet in the Johnson and Wyandotte County areas. So look forward to working with all of you.
Well done, well done. Good afternoon, Eric Stafford with the Kansas Chamber of Commerce. We represent the business community across the state.
Oh, sorry, is that the mic?
No, it's okay. Former intern of Blaine Finch. So we represent the business community across the state. Look forward to working with you all this session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee. I'm J.R. Bien. I'm the manager of state government affairs for ITC Great Plains. We are a high voltage electric transmission only utility.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee. My name is Lane Ridinger. I am lead external and legislative affairs for AT&T Kansas. Look forward to working with all of you. My colleague, our Vice President Darren Miller, unfortunately could not be here this afternoon, but it'll be one of us. Catch us in the hallway. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee. My name is Laura Lutz. I'm Director of Government Affairs at Evergy, the state's largest electric provider. We serve about 1.7 million customers throughout Kansas and Missouri. We have 4,500 employees. Our service territory throughout Kansas encompasses the eastern border as far west as Hutchinson and then north to south. And as Kimberly mentioned earlier, sometimes Kansas citizens do have inquiries about their electric utility or gas utility. So if you are in Evergy service territory and you ever have a constituent reach out with a concern, please know you can contact me. Thank you, and I look forward to working with you this year.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee. James Brungart with Sunflower Electric. We're based out of Hayes and Garden City. We provide generation and transmission service to western and a lot of central Kansas. As Laura said, if you ever have issues in any of your areas that are served by one of the Sunflower members, feel free to reach out to me and be happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Whitney Dameron. I'm a contract lobbyist. I've been doing this about 39 years in the State House. My energy-related clients include Kansas Gas Service, Liberty Utilities, Phillips 66, Southern Star, Central Gas Pipeline, and Invenergy. People talk about where to go for contacts when you have issues and challenges. I'll leave that to the professionals that I work with, but I represent City of Topeka, so when you have pothole damage, you can contact me and I'll get you the form to fill out to get some kind of reimbursement, because they are coming. But anyway, thank you very much, Chairman.
This is a lot like church.
It is a lot
You're
like
always in the back. My name's Allie Devine. Today I'm representing Midwest Energy, which is a generation and transmission company in north central Kansas. Covers about 40 counties, 43,000 people. Devine, Donley, and Murray also works with, as they said earlier, Farm Bureau. And occasionally you'll have Pat Park, the CEO of Midwest up here, or Mike Morley, the head of Director of Communications. Thank you.
Thank you, Allie.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, good afternoon. My name is Phil Wages. I'm with Kansas Electric Power Cooperative. We're also known as KEPCO. KEPCO is a generation and transmission electric utility headquartered here in Topeka, and we provide capacity, energy, and transmission service for our 16-member rural electric cooperatives that encompass about 50% of the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you. I've just about run out of bodies. My name is Eric Sartorius with the Communications Coalition of Kansas. We are the rural broadband companies of Kansas, serving every nook and cranny that's everywhere and anywhere throughout the state of Kansas. Most of them were way back when, 100 years ago, rural telephone companies. So we've been around quite some time, and I wanted to share with you that Gavin Kreidler also helps represent us. He was so excited to be here today, he forgot to mention us, but we don't forget Gavin. Carrie Gooch also helps us out. So if you ever have any questions or concerns about rural broadband or any of our providers or need anything for your constituents, just give us a holler. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, is that everybody? You know, committee, when you look at this, it makes you understand the diversity and complexity of the issues that we're going to be dealing with. So I can tell you, we can be proud of what's out in the audience, and I'm proud of the committee, and we're all going to be trying to do great things for Kansas. The next thing at this point, I didn't have on my agenda that we'd have bill introductions, but I sent out a email. So is there any bill introduction to this time? Because we kind of need to get rolling on some of this if the session is as short as they say it will be. So I'm trying to be ahead of the game. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jessica Lucas, on behalf of the American Heart Association, this is 25 RS 0188, an act concerning emergency communication services related to telecommunicator CPR training. Did I do that right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Snyder on behalf of Kansas for Lower Electric Rates have one bill, RS 0477, dealing with economic development electric rates, and would respectfully request that introduction.
Okay, any questions, committee, at this time? If not, we'll consider
Thank you.
Introduced. Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, next, we're going to move into presentation and an overview of utility statutes. We got Mr. Nick Myers, Assistant Revisor of Statutes, and Nick, if you'd come up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good to see all the members of the committee, and welcome aboard. This is one of my favorite subject areas in the legislature. My name is, as the chair said, Nick Myers. I am with the Office of Revisor of Statutes. We are your legal counsel. We are your assistants for bill drafting, amendment drafting, and then trying to impart some knowledge on you and helping you out in any way that we can. Mr. Chair and members of the committee, you saw the introductions in the room, and you all too. There's a lot of knowledge in this room right now, and the collective knowledge in this room is massive. This presentation, I am just hitting some high points and just touching on an overview of public utility regulation in Kansas and how it functions, and some of the terminology that you will be hearing, and where the folks you just heard from kind of fit into the whole process. So to get started, public utility regulation is a legislative function. It's legislative in nature. The regulatory agencies and the regulation that is imparted upon utilities and energy operations in the state, it comes through legislation and the legislature. The regulatory bodies are created by the legislature. So this is a legislative function. In Kansas, a public utility, and it's almost self-evident, but in Kansas, a public utility has been defined since 1911 as any entity, any corporation, company, person that owns, controls, operates, or manages, except for their own private use, any equipment, plant, generating machinery, or any part thereof for telephone, telegraph, and I don't know why that's still in there. I don't know if we still have any telegraph operations going. Conveyance of oil and gas through pipelines, and then conveyance and furnishing of heat, light, water, and power. So in the early 1900s, the Kansas legislature, through statute, established the primary state regulatory agency, which is the Kansas Corporation Commission. This commission consists of 3 commissioners They're appointed by the governor for 4-year terms, and no more than 2 of those commissioners can be from the same political party. So the KCC, the Corporation Commission, has full authority to regulate public utilities in the state of Kansas. Their regulation requires the commission to promote and ensure sufficient, efficient, and safe utility services. And as we'll talk about here soon, not every utility is subject to the regulation of the Corporation Commission. So to begin, let's just kind of start at the high level. In Kansas, the state, every utility operating in the state is somehow beholden to their certified territories. So within the state, for retail electric suppliers, the Retail Electric Suppliers Act divides the entire state into electric service territories. And within these electric service territories, one utility has the exclusive right and the obligation to provide retail electric service to customers in that territory. This act essentially applies to all electric territories in the state. No other utility can provide electric service within another certified electric utility service area. Similarly, for natural gas public utilities, the retail distribution side, the Kansas Corporation Commission also certificates natural gas public utilities and their certified areas. This differs a little bit from the electricity side in that the certificated areas are not comprehensive throughout the entire state as is for the retail electric side. And there is some territorial overlap within the natural gas service territories. So as I mentioned, most utilities are subject to regulation. The large utilities are subject to regulation by the KCC. There are some utilities that aren't. We call utilities that are subject to regulation jurisdictional. So the Kansas Corporation Commission has jurisdiction to regulate those entities. And essentially, these jurisdictional utilities are required to obtain KCC's approval for any changes in their rates or their terms of service. So the public utilities that are not subject to KCC regulation, you kind of call them non-jurisdictional utilities. And here the Kansas Corporation Commission themselves do not have statutory authority to oversee their rate-making processes, their tariffs, and their service, except in very limited circumstances. There's a chart within the memo there that kind of outlines the differences between these electric public utilities. So we've got the investor-owned for-profit utilities. Those are subject to KCC regulation. We have municipal utilities. Statute exempts municipal utilities from the definition of public utility. Therefore, they are not subject to regulation by the Kansas Corporation Commission. Now you can see in this chart that they are governed and overseen by the local municipal body. And typically that municipal body will delegate that utility function to a utility board or something of that nature. The last type of utility entity we have in the state are cooperative public utilities. These utilities, statute does provide that the Kansas Corporation Commission can exercise jurisdiction over them and typically would, but statute authorizes these cooperative public utilities to exempt themselves out of KCC regulation. These cooperatives are then governed by the cooperative board that's elected among the members of the cooperative. And there's some examples. I think I kind of list some of the names of the utilities that you would be seeing under these instances. Generally, so for these regulated entities, these jurisdictional entities to the Kansas Corporation Commission and the non-jurisdictional entities too, if they want to increase or modify their rates or terms, they would need to bring that in front of the regulatory body that's governing them. So for jurisdictional entities, they bring a rate case before the Kansas Corporation Commission. If a rate case is opened, this is opened in a publicly available docket, which serves as the administrative hub for all the information pertaining to the rate case. And in this rate case,
It basically centers on how much utility needs to earn to continue to provide efficient and sufficient service, while also providing that utility a fair return on their investment. So once the KCC determines that amount, the total amount to provide the efficient, sufficient service and a fair return on investment, the next step in a rate case is designing rates to efficiently and equitably collect that amongst all the various rate classes, your industrial consumers, your residential consumers, your commercial consumers. So you have to divvy up the rates appropriately in that rate case. So the KCC in these rate cases has a duty to ensure that utilities establish just and reasonable rates and maintain that reasonably sufficient and efficient service. The rate decisions are issued through final orders, and during these rate cases, interveners such as the Citizens Utility Ratepayer Board will intervene in these rate cases and represent the interests of, for CURB, as CURB stated, residential and small commercial customers and ratepayers. And then there are other interveners that the KCC may allow into the rate case to represent their own interests. For these non-regulated utilities, the municipal utilities and generally the cooperative utilities are not regulated by the Kansas Corporation Commission. As I said, the rates are set by a board or council of that type of utility. State law does provide for both of these types of utilities. There is a backstop authority for the KCC to step in and take a look at municipal rates, utility rates, and cooperative utility rates upon a complaint. And the KCC in statute could set aside actions of that governing body of the muni or the co-op and set rates in that instance. I just wanted to note the state law authorizes municipalities to enter into agreements with municipal energy agencies. We heard a little bit about, from some folks representing municipal energy agencies, and these are generally agencies that municipalities contract with to provide generation and transmission services. Again, similar with cooperatives, there are some transmission and generation and transmission cooperatives that don't provide retail service. They will provide transmission and generation services and then enter into contracts with cooperatives that are providing that distribution retail service. Another item that you might hear about this session, so that kind of covers rate cases, rate making. Another item that you might hear about this session is transmission line siting. State law does establish a process for siting of certain transmission lines in the state of Kansas, and this falls into the Kansas Corporation Commission's wheelhouse as well. So the state law provides that any transmission line that is 5 miles or more in length that transfers 230 kilovolts or more of electricity is going to be subject to this Kansas Corporation Commission transmission line siting process. And in this process, an entity that's seeking to construct one of those transmission lines has to apply to the KCC for a transmission line siting permit, and then the KCC has to conduct a public hearing on that matter, and then consider all the testimony and evidence in that matter, and then issue a final order regarding where that line will be sited or whether that line will be sited. State law also establishes, a couple years ago, we have a state law that establishes certain procedural steps for the construction of an urban electric transmission line, which only applies to the city of Wichita. And there are certain, as I said, certain procedural steps that if an entity is constructing an urban electric transmission line, they do have to undertake those steps. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, that's kind of the state level for electric. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, the FERC, has jurisdiction to regulate the electricity in interstate commerce rather than intrastate commerce, and sales of electricity at wholesale in interstate commerce. And through the FERC and through federal legislation, the Southwest Power Pool is the not-for-profit regional transmission organization that essentially was mandated by the FERC to manage the reliability, wholesale markets, and transmission services in our region. So they are our regional transmission provider and the independent transmission coordinator for our region. And you'll hear some references to the SPP and be learning about some of those processes. Natural gas public utilities are very much the same way, set up the same way as electric public utilities. You have your for-profit IOUs that are regulated by the KCC, and then you have your municipals and your co-ops that are exempt from KCC jurisdiction generally. Let me see if there's anything else I want to mention. Mr. Chairman, there's some federal jurisdiction for the FERC that they have jurisdiction for natural gas pipeline transportation, storage, and liquefied natural gas facilities. And then the KCC will come into play regarding pipeline safety regulations and things of that nature. So that's where my memo stops. There's a lot of other topics that we cover in this committee. I didn't even talk about telecommunications, broadband, video services. We'll have issues like that popping up in this committee. I didn't mention independent power producers, your renewables, your generation providers, your electricity generation providers that are not in the rate base of a public utility. Those are separate and exempt from KCC jurisdiction. I didn't speak on oil and gas regulation in Chapter 55 of the Kansas statutes. And then, I mean, there's all other issues, land use issues, local governance issues, and things of that nature. And again, this was supposed to be a very high level, kind of get some terminology in, and I'd be happy to stand for questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Nick. Great presentation. Is there any questions from the committee that you'd like to ask on a general 30,000-foot question at this point? Okay, thank you very much. So I'm sorry to make you all stand up and do this. I was kind of, the back row sometimes gets to nodding off, and I wanted to surprise everybody today. So this gave you a chance to warm up on the mic. So next, something I missed on the agenda was staff introduction. So we met Nick, and we kind of got an idea of what Nick does back here. Another important part would be on the research side. So Kate, would you stand up and kind of tell us what you do and maybe introduce back there?
Hi. Just to be on the mic. My name's Kate Smeltzer. I am a research analyst for the Legislative Research Department. For our newer members, I wrote a little blurb. I'm no good at ad-libbing. Legislative research offers nonpartisan and objective research and fiscal analysis. We're here to assist with committee work, policy, and research requests and constituent inquiries. So feel free and encouraged to reach out to us if you ever have any questions or needs, please.
So that's a great resource for each one of the committee members right there. So use it as you need to.
Here's Heather also.
It's okay. I'm Heather O'Hara with Legislative Research as well.
Braden Humphrey with the audiovisual department. This is my first year with utilities, so excited to be here, and we'll have fun, it seems like.
Last but not least, I want to introduce my office assistant, which she said yes to come back this year. I rely heavily on her, and I know that you all, most of you know who she is, but I want to tell her thank you. And Susie, you might, got anything you'd like to say at this point?
No, I just apologize. I'm really sick, and so my head's fuzzy. I'm going, don't make too many mistakes.
So she is a great person, and I'm telling you that anytime you need something, don't hesitate to, because we get very busy around here. All of us get very busy. So it's just a matter of all of us working together here. So the other thing I wanted to introduce, because Susie was sick yesterday, and I'd missed this, and it's my fault. On bill introductions, we'll have the deal Thursday, so I'm going to allow bill introductions before we do that. That won't take very long, because it's kind of important to get this stuff rolling, so you kind of take that for granted. Is there any other, committee rules. So in your package, you got committee rules in here. You might review that. There is no changes from last year, is what I would tell you, because we worked hard on that last year. And the conferee rules is over on that table, so you might take one of those. There isn't anything new on that this year either. So I didn't have too many people complaining, so we'll just, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So that's kind of where I'm at with that, so. Does the committee have any questions at this point, or bring any announcement or anything they want to bring up? Okay, we'll try to start on time and try to get out of here on time because we always go to the floor. And the plan is that we'll be setting agendas on Monday, so we won't have a committee meeting. Then we'll work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and usually not Friday. We get busy, we start using Friday, and if we get real busy, we'll start using Monday. So I'm just kind of letting you all kind of get a feel of what my thought is as we go forward here. So with that, I think that's all we have for today, and thank you all for coming, and we look forward to the session.